Beers and Bars will be the first beer and hip hop show to record from the tap room after the pandemic.
Oh! Hey. Yo, welcome to Beers and Bars,
your place for rapid fire hip hop discussion and, of course, great beer.
I am Kamal Kiddo.
I am OT the Golden Child. Thank y'all for checking out our last episode. Make sure you follow us everywhere at Beers and Bars. That's with a Z. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of good stuff. Big shout out to Oscar, who was on our last show. Speaking of Oscar, we are here with a guest today who I feel like is also an alumni at this point.
Yes, sure.
I think, John, this is your fourth time, I think. I think we did two at the brewery. And then we did one with you via Zoom when the whole world started to shut down and everything was going crazy. So
that was like the week after RTJ4.
Oh,
that is John Carruthers, everybody.
John Carruthers, everybody.
Oh wait, this is not. I shouldn't be doing that.
But yeah, man. Come on, what are we gonna be talking about? Well, John, you've introduced yourself before, so you can just, for those who this may be their first time watching, you can tell the people who you are and what you do and whatnot.
Yes, I am the communications manager for Revolution Brewing. Do the PR, social media, general idiot, and I talk a lot, which is why OT and Kamal have me on, because I never run out of this stuff.
He's great on camera, so
that's he is. Positive dude, positive vibes. Today we're talking about the recent. It only happens in December, right? The Deepwood series.
Well, it happens October through January, but yes, it happens. It's basically one short window at time of year where we release all those barrel-aged beers.
Okay. So we'll be talking about that, and happy holidays, everyone. We'll be talking about our top three.
We can do three.
Are we
more? Yeah, we've got a bunch.
I don't know if I have a top three. I've kind of been thinking about it, but top three Christmas movies, or are we just talking about Christmas movies? Some tops in general.
I got 3 through 1. I'm ready.
All right, let's go then. Let's go.
All right, well, wait. Before we start, now, I said Kamal's already weighed his opinion on this to me privately, but OT, do we need to have is Die Hard a Christmas movie conversation?
We don't have to have that conversation. Die Hard is, you can put that here.
No, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Die Hard is not it happens on Christmas, but it is not a Christmas movie. That's a shoo-in. That's a shoo-in for number one.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave this off because I want you guys to get along together. This feels like mom and dad are fighting on Christmas, but I do want to say that he literally writes "ho ho ho" on the guy, and that's when knows that it's not.
Exactly.
Die Hard will not appear on my list, but I did want to set this in because this is the part of every seasonal conversation that I miss having in person at the tap room at ever louder volumes.
I'll allow it, but I guess Kamal won't, so whatever.
Yeah, no, I'll leave it up. I got plenty of movies.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
I know. I just think it's fun and funny because the first original one is very Christmas centric, right? Like as far as some of the things that are happening, like the whole note and all that. So yeah, man. But
it's at an employee Christmas party where someone's doing cocaine. I used to work in finance. I know how that goes.
Nice.
Exactly. Let's get into. Let's first of all, let's just talk in general about what's been going on over at the brewery, what you guys got going on amidst these chaotic times and whatnot. So I guess we can just start there and tell us what's going on, you guys, way at Revolution.
Sure. So we are just putting beer out to the curb 7 days a week. You order online, you go pick it up. It's wild. If you had asked me in March if I thought we were going to start taking orders online, I would have said no. That's something most breweries aren't able to do. And then 1 month later, it was just no. Now every single brewery who's still rocking it does it. It's wild. But, the barrel-aged beer season, I don't want to say we're doing good. I don't think any brewery is doing good because we don't sell draft beer to restaurants and bars. But the way people have been buying, barrel-aged beers and supporting their local breweries, we've been able to just keep it rolling. And that's a pretty awesome place to be in such a messed up year.
Right on.
Yeah, and something we forgot. We didn't even go into beer, but that's fine. That's fine. We didn't even.
Because I have a deep wood ready.
Well, yeah, John, you have it. Okay. All right. So perfect. And I as well have something from the deep wood series.
So we'll got the double barrel. This is going to be like a fun show.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this. So I didn't want to do the one that was aged in cognac, because I think me and my wife are gonna do that together on Christmas, and she doesn't even drink beer, really, but she liked one of the. I gave her the Rye Way to Heaven a couple days ago, and she was like, "This is amazing." So
the Rye Way is good.
Yeah. I haven't had this one. I think I had this one last year, but I looked today and I did see that it was at 17.8%. But it's the only cold one that was in my refrigerator. So
yes, I'm having a 17 too.
I think it's 17 flat. I really have a problem with the font on the 0 because.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
I said the same thing, John. I said the same thing. I was telling my wife, is this an 8 or is this a 0?
Yeah. Don't worry. Okay. We'll address.
I think it's a 0. I think it's a 0.
It's a 0. But, I mean, 17 is no Pilsner. I mean, you're in for a good drink.
So let me say this. Thank you, John. I went and picked up a couple weeks ago. We appreciate your support of the show and whatnot. The line for, this was a Saturday, for people picking up curbside was down to Jewel, which is about a block. No, it was almost at Jewel, like close to that area. Is that a block and a half?
It's something like that. So we're at 3340.
Right.
And you were pretty much at Addison. Addison is 3600. So, not to go all local Chicago meatball grid city on you, but that's a good line that you can mathematically measure at home.
So me and Kamal both have the V.S.O.D. So I guess we can start there. Tell us about this one here. Double barrel V.S.O.D.
Exactly. So the double barrel beers are the ones that we have the least of, command the biggest price in our series, which is like $40 a 4-pack, and that we come out with very infrequently just because you have to put them in one set of barrels, age, extract all that good stuff from the barrels, transfer them to another set of barrels, same thing. It's like twice the effort of making any of our regular deep wood beers, which, as you guys know, is a year plus sometimes of effort for this stuff and blending and everything. This one's cool. Marty, who does our barrel program, long-haired guy, listens to nothing but Van Halen.
Yeah.
He said that this beer, Double Barrel V.S.O.D, was the absolute crown jewel of this entire Deepwood program, just because of how well it came together, compared to what they were targeting. They use, math and spreadsheets to talk about the sugar content in the beer, the time on barrels, the oxygenation. And he's like, this thing hit every single goal better than we've ever had for anything. Which, if he's like visibly, he's a low key-ish guy. And if he's like super excited about something, everyone at the brewery is like, all right, I'm going to get my employee allotment in like right now.
Okay.
But this sold out. The pre-sale for this on our website sold out in 11 minutes. And
yes.
As the communications guy, that's everyone yelling at me that everything disappeared from their cart. And I'm like, I'm sorry, there's only so much beer, but I'm really glad that all of you are maniacs for it, because that keeps me working.
So you had to reply to all those emails?
Well, me, Rob, Metal Rob, who you've met, who's our communications assistant. Yeah, the team, like communications, what I do, PR, we're the pool filter sometimes of the brewing industry. It's like, everything bad kind of comes in the same way, and you gotta separate the fun stuff from the not so fun stuff and make people feel better where you can.
Okay.
I honestly, for this one, I was like, I'm sorry, we had this much beer and everybody bought it at once.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking?
I am drinking the Mindshaft Gap, the cognac barrel one, but I respect OT's decision to have it with his wife if she's not usually a beer drinker. She thinks it's cool. I didn't think I was a cognac drinker, and this beer is wild, incredibly cognac forward.
Yes.
I mean, it's, people think the knock on all these different barrel age variants is like, oh, you just put it in different barrels and you sell the same beer 4 times. It's like, this Mindshaft could not be more different from what you're drinking right now. And they're both amazing beers for completely different reasons. This one I'm just so excited about because I'm like, I'm not a big cognac fan. Like, it's not just necessarily what I drink. And after a few, I've had a few cans of this since we've released it. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm a cognac fan now. Like, maybe I got to get a good bottle pretty soon.
Yeah, I talked about this maybe a couple of episodes ago on the show. I had
It was the
MINESHAFT.
Oscar one. It was the last episode.
Okay, then I had MINESHAFT Gap, and my wife had it at dinner, and she was like, she's a beer drinker, and it's like, I can't finish this right now. I wasn't ready for like to drink Hennessy. And I'm like, this is so. It was good, but she wasn't ready for the weight of it. Like it's like what, 15 or what is it, 13? What is it?
Tell you here. Oh, this is 12.4 compared to what you all are drinking. It's light.
Oh
it's
yeah,
light.
it's light. It's light compared to this. That's true. Because the rye way is 15.
15 this year, yeah. And you know, this is like straight jacket. I mean, this is a really thick. Like, I understand where she's coming from. I don't usually have. I usually have my barrel aged beer after dinner if I'm having it around a meal, just because it's like thick, it's viscous, it's very cool. But like, yeah, I don't know if I want to eat an entire burrito and have a whole can sometimes. That's why we make a lot of pilsners and IPAs too.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I did want to save it for Christmas, because I am a fan of coming up. I drink a lot of cognac, and I don't drink as much as I used to, but knowing that this one was aged in cognac barrels, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make this gonna be for a special day.
It's good. It's good.
So
it's really cool. And it's also like, the cognac barrels are all French oak as opposed to the American oak and the bourbon barrels. So like those bourbon barrels are really sugary, kind of really charred and everything. The French oak is a little like drier, a little more delicate. It's just a very cool. I haven't had a lot of cognac barrel beers, and like this one made me really happy to have had one from a brewery I think does really well, even though I'm paid to say that.
So how does that? Can you talk about that brewing process as far as getting the beer? Like, where do the beer? Or I don't know if that's like an industry, industry secret type of thing. But how is it that where are you getting the barrels from? How do you differentiate that process of the rye way, the MINESHAFT Gap, and V.S.O.D, all of those? How long does that process take? Just the whole process from the beginning, how you're getting those barrels, leaving it for a year, or is it different for every flavor? How does that work?
Yeah, so the biggest first step is you got to put like a high gravity. Like we don't put all these things out at 12, 13, 14, 17% just because it looks incredibly daunting. It's the fact that oak barrels, especially second use, that a distillery's had before. Oak is porous, it lets in oxygen. There's the potential for microbes. You got to brew with a lot of alcohol in your beer, or else you can spoil it. Things come in and oxygen is going to get in and microbes are going to exist in the wood. And if you don't have enough alcohol to really kind of sterilize what you're going for during the aging process, you can get, beers that when or they're incredibly like sour and disgusting because they've been eaten up. But what we do is we start with those big high gravity brews. And for double barrel, so for V.S.O.D, it's a stout that's meant to sit for a long time, in different barrels. For MINESHAFT Gap, it's a stout meant to sit it's a barley wine meant to sit for a year in these cognac barrels, and to complement like a little more restrained French oak. So not as sweet, maybe not as heavy on the alcohol. And for something like, let's say like just straight jacket, we want to hit a certain percentage of sugar relative to what's coming out of the barrel, and then give it enough time. So it's usually a year. We've done some barrel aged beers, especially at the pub, that are like 6 to 9 months, but we usually want a full year because that sugar sits out and the oxygen gets in, and we found that the reaction between oxygen and sugar creates a lot of those like deep, like incredibly compelling flavors that you get from V.S.O.D or a really good year of straight jacket or Rye Way to Heaven. In beers like Rye Way to Heaven, there's the rye beers, have just like a much silkier kind of flavor because rye really thickens up the body of a beer as opposed to like a stout like Death Star. Death Star was a bigger beer with more components, but Rye Way feels smoother on the tongue because of all that different grain in there. And then something that happens for, say, like a double barrel V.S.O.D. like you guys have, is that we've got to hang around with those barrels for another couple of years. And so, you know, that's why we don't have enough, you know, that's why we don't have more than X amount, because like, you're not just keeping those beers in barrels, you know, you're paying rent on those barrels. That's other barrels that aren't there because we can't store another beer somewhere. So like, that's why when we do these double barrel things, like they end up very cool and very, very compelling, but they sell out pretty quick because like, even as the biggest independent brewery in Illinois, we only have like so much space. And the coolest part, the last part, is we blend the barrels. So we do not just brew one batch of these beers. We brew a few batches, and some are a little sweeter, some are a little drier, and then we put them into barrels and taste them at the end and blend them together, kind of like you would make a wine or something like that. That way, you're not just doing one thing and then seeing what happens. You're creating multiple different components and then adding a little bit of what you like from here, a little bit of what you like from here. It's a really cool and interesting process that I'm still learning a lot about, you know, a few years into working here.
So you're preparing next year's Deepwood series now.
I know what's in next year's Deepwood series. When we can get back to the tap room, maybe you can get that out of me. But we are typically preparing Deepwood. We're talking about 2 to 3 years from now, right now. Because you know it's getting the barrels, it's laying out the production plan to brew these beers, to give them the time they need in the barrels to blend them. You asked about where we get the barrels from. You know, like distillers are not in the business of like reselling their own barrels. So the way it works is like these places, Woodford Reserve, Buffalo Trace, Willet, you know, Jack Daniels even. They sell their barrels once they're done because they can only be used once to a middleman, and the middlemen will resell them to breweries. Now, we've been at this long enough. We have a barrel supplier that we like that's trusted by both the distiller and us. Sometimes you get a kind of a janky barrel-aged beer because, you know, people think I can buy kind of any barrel off of any guy and it'll be good, but it's not necessarily going to be good. It needs to be still watertight. If it's dripping, it can be infected really quickly. If it's dry, it can be infected pretty quickly, even at those higher alcohol levels. So we look for really watertight barrels that still have a little bit of booze sloshing in them, so you know that they're super fresh. And that way you're getting the most from the wood, you're getting the most from what liquor kind of waits in the wood. And you know, you probably have a pretty good product. We haven't had to throw out a barrel in something like 4 or 5 years now.
And you're throwing out barrels because of.
Yeah, if they're dripping and draining, it used to be that we would have to kind of pour stuff out if that happened because we were worried about infection, or we were worried it would just all leak out. You know, you only mop up so much, and we're not Coopers. We can't repair a barrel. And so what we used to do is we would kind of dump the like two leaky barrels into one barrel and make like a blend. That was a Sanctuary program. I know you guys have had some pours of the Sanctuary beers that are kind of these cool one-off things. That honestly, like our barrel reseller is been doing so well lately. Like the Sanctuary program's hurting, and it's like a good problem to have, but also like kind of an annoying problem to have. We've got to make our own kind of Sanctuary blends because we're not the barrels don't leak as much.
Right.
Question for you. So when I'm having this MINESHAFT gap, I mean, I already know what we're going to be eating that day, but let's say I didn't know what I'm eating. Because I follow you on Twitter and I see you got your pizzas and you got all, you know, that's your main thing. You do your thing. If somebody was going to pair something like MINESHAFT gap with something, what kind of food choice, or what maybe it's something they baked. What could you pair MINESHAFT gap with, or any of these, you know, barrel aged beers?
I'd go something really rich. I mean, if we're talking like dessert or something, like, you know, if it's something that's baked, something with a little cherry in it, like, you know, cognac always works really well with kind of a sweeter component, you know, outside of it. So like a chocolate cherry tart or something, I think would go really well with MINESHAFT cap. You get that good cognac heat. You get the good barrel flavor, and then you get a little bit of the cherry to kind of zip through. So like you're waiting for that next bite. But if I was just having a main course, I would do something like incredibly infuriatingly French, you know, given the whole cognac thing, and like do a big buttery sauce with red wine and capers, or white wine and capers, and you know, try to go as big as the Mindshaft. Why not?
Okay. So,
it's been a bad year. We all got to enjoy the small things.
Yeah.
True. Let me ask. How do you know how long the Deepwood series has been going on?
So when we
something new every year, do you bring things back, or how like do you add to it? How does that work?
So yeah, we've added to it basically every year. It started the beginning of it when we could finally put stuff into barrels, more than 1 or 2 barrels, was when we went from just, you know, the pub in 2010 to where we opened Kedzie in 2012. We opened Kedzie, we finally had room to like stack up barrels and all that stuff. So things have kind of been growing since then. It started out in those 22-ounce bombers. Now it's in the cans. And it's always, there's always...
I'm feeling it, by the way. I'm feeling it. Go ahead.
For sure.
There's always Death Star, or if you prefer D-Star, you pronounce it either way. There's always Straight Jacket. That's like the Barleywine. Like, we are a big Barleywine brewery. There's now always Rye to Heaven. That was like a style that people were like, I don't know what this is. And we almost discontinued it. And then in 2017, it like sold through the roof. And we were like, well, I guess Rye back. But other than that, we bring back like old favorites. We have one V.S.O. beer, the very special old. It's, you know, basically either 2 to 3 years aged, or it's double barrel like the V.S.O.D. And we have one of those. And then from there, it can be kind of anything. We got a collaboration with Half Acre coming up for January, the final release. You know, a couple years ago, we did Scotch Ale in barrels, you know, Gravedigger Billy. Like, it's the classics. It's the special age stuff, and then it's kind of whatever we're feeling this year, 2 to 3 years down the road, mind you.
Yeah, I would before we go to the movies, I would say my I think my is it Death Tar? You have a Death Tar with coffee, right? Or is that?
Yeah, that one's cafe. That one's really good.
That's my favorite.
Okay, so that one is every year now, because the brewers are just killing it with the coffee beans, and it's like the best coffee beer every year.
That's my favorite one. So yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll do like a Death by with like some fruit in it. So this year it was cherries. Year before it was plums. Year before that it was currants. So yeah, you can kind of sketch out the bones of what we're gonna put out every year. But like, you know, 12 beers now, you know, over a 4-month season. Plus we had the kind of one-off summer beers, what with the pandemic, where we did like Thundertaker, and we did the Rye and the Supermassive Cafe. Like, you know, there's always something kind of cool and new. I feel like our brewers are always pushing for new cool things.
Let me know what you guys read. Well, I'll check online, but I tried to get some. Red Skull was sold out. I tried to get some of that online when I came a couple weeks ago. Oh yeah, and it was gone. I never had, but I've heard good things. So yeah,
it is. It's like a red ale. It's such an old school style. Where the size where we can like bring back an old school style and at least sell some cans of it. And that one was really cool. Like, red ale is such a 90s, like, you know, restaurant and microbrewery type thing. And Red Skull tasted amazing this time. Like, I'm sorry, I'll let you know when it's back.
Okay. All right.
Just curious, have you ever tried to brew your own beer?
Oh,
no.
It had nothing to do with, okay. All right.
Just, you know why? You've seen what I've done with the pizzas, right? Like, I started making a pizza, you know, just because I like pizza and I wanted something to do with the kids. And now I'm selling them out of the alley. And I'm like, if I get into beer, I'm going to spend, like, I know myself. And I know the kind of thing that will ruin me if I pick it up as a hobby. And beer brewing seems like one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're actually selling those pieces, you're actually getting them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we sell that every month. We've raised over, I think, $5,000 in the last few months to different Chicago nonprofits. And yeah, it's just selling pizza out the alley. It's fun. It's a non-revolution thing.
Yeah.
Do I see a pizzeria in the future? Is there a pizzeria coming in the future?
Carruthers Pizza sounds nice. Just like that, Carruthers Pizza.
I feel like if you take it out, like, it's charming and fun to buy a pizza from a dude in an alley and not get, you know, like Dateline NBC'd, right? I'm not necessarily certain that if I'm just another guy with a strip mall pizza place, it's as compelling a narrative. Plus, if I have to pay rent, then I have to charge, and I don't charge anything for the pizza. They pay all the good nonprofits directly, and I'm happy to just keep money flowing to those places as long as people buy the pizza.
Dope, man.
That's have you been promoting that at all, or is it something that you tell friends? Or
no, I put it on my Instagram. It's very, for someone my age, it's very millennial energy to be like, okay, there's 5, it's in my stories. Now you got to DM me. Like, that's cool. You know, old dog can learn new tricks.
Yeah.
True. Right on. Segueing as far as while we're talking about pizzas, I actually just watched Home Alone last night with the kids. That's their first time seeing it, and
nice.
their very first time seeing it. And you know, it's funny to me that, you know, this is in Chicago. I think that house just sold, as a matter of fact. The Home Alone house.
It's like a $1 million house on the North Shore.
Yes. It just sold this year or last year, something like that. But he was getting Little Nero's pizza, which I thought was funny because, you know, what is Little Nero? It doesn't exist. It's just for the movie. Little Caesars, Little Nero's. Okay, that's cool. So Home Alone is definitely in my top 3 as far as Christmas movies. We're watching Home Alone 2 tonight, so I didn't get a chance to really review Home Alone 2. But Home Alone 1 is such a OG Christmas movie. Like, it's got... And, you know, I watched, and I don't want to make this about Home Alone because I got 2 other spots, right? But I watched the Movies That Made Us, I think it's called, on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix.
And, you know, Home Alone was one of those. And to know that, you know, how they did the movie and everything, and, you know, that... not Chris Columbus, but John Hughes. So I can't remember who wrote it.
I think John Hughes.
I can't remember who wrote it. But he's the same writer of a bunch of your favorite, a lot of the Rat Pack movies, like those early 80s movies. And it's written so well, actually, because you have, you know, the guy at the beginning that you think is like, you know, Buzz is telling Kevin that this guy killed his family. And then, you know, he encounters him several times before he sees him in the church. And then he talks to him. And
it's dope, man.
And then the very last scene is the dude across or next door getting with his family. It's a really good movie. Just melding everything together. I think it's well written in that way.
It's my one, actually.
I can see that being.
It is my number 1.
Like, it's hard for me to. I watch movies, and I watch a lot of movies. I'm not really a fan of holiday movies unless it's like a horror movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do like Halloween, like horror movies. You know what I'm saying?
So,
I mean,
can I tell you my favorite thing to think of every time I watch it? We just watched this last night, me and my wife. We haven't. Kids aren't ready for cartoon violence yet. It still upsets me when I see them step on the ornaments with the bare feet.
I was concerned about them seeing some of that stuff. Oh my God!
It's not. Yeah, it just makes me go like dude who plays Uncle Frank is the best. That dude deserves an Oscar because I feel like if I saw that dude on the street today, I would spit in his face. Like, he was so good at being a shitty uncle.
And he only had like a few lines.
Look, what's so funny about it is that so full circle, like, because we're also doing the themes right now as far as we're watching movies. We watched Elf last night, and then 2 days ago we watched Home Alone. When Frank said, "Look what you did, you little jerk," like, when I saw that as a kid, that was funny. As a parent, I was like, how they let him get away with that, talking to their kids.
That's
like
what I'm saying.
My kids like that? Yeah. Catherine O'Hara should have slapped the shit out of him. My mom could never stand to see that scene. We would always watch it at Christmas, and she would be like, "Oh, I don't like that. I can't believe he said that." And I'm like, "Yeah, now as a parent,
it's different watching it as a parent. The whole thing, you know, it's just so funny.
The whole thing.
It's
and he's
like,
a cheapskate. Like they wrote that. That's just a really well realized character."
yeah, it really is.
I mean, and you know, when Kevin says, "What do you think, you dummy? Why don't you do it, dummy?" Or to his mom, we instantly told the kids, "All right, now he's doing too much. Don't let you guys say that." Like instantly. But that's probably definitely number one. It was a struggle for me though to put any movies in order because I'm not a big holiday movie fan because they're always all it's just
in that same vein.
They're all corny to me. They're oftentimes they're corny. I would love to put Die Hard in there, but I just don't think it's a fair holiday movie. You know,
I've already agreed. It's fine.
We got it, John.
I'm just saying that because I like Die Hard. I like over quarantine. I watched it like 1.5 times because I fell asleep. It was very late at night.
All right,
but I've watched it at least once over quarantine, and it's a good movie.
Yeah, so good. And in a year of quarantine, you're like, look how much fun you can have in one building.
John, give us some of your takes. What do you either I don't know how you want to do it, 3-1 or however you want to go. Give us some of your whatever 3 you picked or whatever. Yeah.
Well, so Kamal, was that your 1 or your 3? I'll start from the same place you did.
That I don't.
He already said he doesn't know, and he's done with the 17% beer. So let's just let him.
Nice. Yeah.
So let me start from the bottom, so I'm building it up. I'm gonna do, and you led into this. You didn't know you were going to, Kamal. For number 3, I'm gonna do the most recent remake of Black Christmas, the slasher film. So it's been remade a couple times. The original's 74, but the newest one, female director. Pretty feminist message about like, you know, gaslighting and violence against women. It's also just gory as shit. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's got a very cool ending piece. And it makes you feel pretty cool. Like it feels like a holiday movie. It really does. I mean, campus is shut down. It's snowing. There's Christmas decorations all over. It's got all the horror. It is as gory as anything set at Halloween. But the writing is better, the directing is better, the acting is better. It's a female-centered cast, and like it is just a good damn movie. My wife is not a huge horror movie fan, and certainly not a slashers at Christmas thing. But everyone should check this out if they feel the need to, because it's streaming on HBO Max, and it's a good movie. It's fun.
Look, so it came out last year,
and
it definitely was. Because I am a horror guy, like I'm really into horror films. I have a top 5. We don't have to do that here, but I have a whole horror list. But yeah, I'll definitely take that recommendation.
It's a long time like indie. It's an indie director too, so you get the kind of character development you don't usually get in a slasher. Sophia Tuscal or something. Sorry, I'm butchering it, but like she does a great job with this movie, and I can't wait to see if she makes another horror movie because it's just off kilter enough. It's modern enough, you know. Like it's a feminist slasher movie based on a pretty non-feminist like classic slasher movie, and they both work for different reasons. Like it's a very cool take on the material. I don't like a lot of remakes, and I love this remake. And I'll put this in my Christmas movies for you guys.
And it's called Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, yeah.
2019.
There's one from 2006 too. So
yeah, that was not very good. They tried. It was the early to mid to frankly even late 2000s were kind of a problematic time for horror.
Yeah, honestly, the Halloween number 6. With Paul Rudd was in Halloween 6. I don't know what was going on with that one. So, but
Halloween 6.
Oh, that was bad. That was on direct video.
That was pretty bad. if I had to throw a number 3 in mind, so you know what my 1 is, because Kamal talked about Home Alone. My number 3 will probably be Polar Express, man, and because the movie, but also the book. My mom got me that book when I was a kid, and we read it so much that it's just personal for me, you know, like the connection of it all. Like I really love the whole Polar Express story. So this is that's what it is. My number 3 would be going from horror to the
right. Very wholesome Tom Hanks vibes.
But, you know, it's wholesome, but it's like sad. That was the first book I ever remember as a kid, you know, because you go to school and you got teachers reading you every Christmas book, you know, the entire time. So they don't have to like teach you stuff. And I remember like, that was the first time I felt like, okay, this was good and it was happy, but it's also sad. And I'm not familiar with this feeling. Like, just like a very, like, I was a very like formative book, a very unique kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it was the illustrations in the book that did it for me. Like it was very well like drawn out and whatnot. So I'm gonna kick it back to you, Kamal. Let's go.
I don't know if I have a 1 through 3.
Just give us a 1 more. You gave us Home Alone. Give us
hey man, does Charlie Brown Christmas count, man?
Yes.
Yeah.
That definitely sits in my heart, man. To be honest, my number 1 Christmas song is Christmas Time.
Yeah.
It's such a good song. It's a good song. And we've been playing it a lot around the house because I like it. That's the one Christmas song that I really like a lot. And it just brings back memories as a kid during Christmas and positive Christmas vibes. So Charlie Brown Christmas is definitely in my list.
I'm telling you, so I used to work at Borders, right? Back when Borders was a thing, the one in Uptown. And I remember we used to hit that album all the time because it was like, you can listen to it and enjoy it, or it can be in the background and you can enjoy it. I'm telling you, for your viewers and your listeners who are YouTube kids, like Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas was the original lo-fi beats to study and relax to.
Yes! Yeah.
Lo-fi, baby. Lo-fi.
Lo-fi beats to study and relax to. Shout out YouTube. Yeah, definitely Charlie Brown's Christmas. And now we have like the book. Like I always, you know, I immediately, you know, if someone's tree is not really popping or is just looking real scraggly, what's up with your Charlie Brown?
Charlie Brown. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Charlie Brown Christmas is definitely on my list for sure.
Let's get another one, John. What you got?
All right. So I used to, back when I was still a newspaper guy, review movies. And sometimes you go to stuff and you're like, oh, this will be great. And sometimes you go to stuff and you're like, I can't believe I got to see this. And this one for me was, I can't believe I got to see this. And then I came out and I was like, that was amazing. I loved it so much. 2003, Billy Bob Thornton, Bad Santa. I thought it was going to be like this bunch of easy jokes, like the vulgar Christmas, you know, Santa. The trailers looked awful. And that movie is amazing.
That movie's great.
It's so good. It subverts all the Christmas stuff. The performances are great, but like it's also really sweet. Like it is a heartwarming Christmas movie in the end. Yeah. But like, you know, like in a way that your alcoholic uncle can still be pretty nice to you. Like it is super cool. I can rewatch it a ton of times. It has one of the few really good kid performances in anything. That kid is amazing. Billy Bob Thornton is amazing. Like it's one of the last performances of both John Ritter and Bernie Mac. Like that's just
that's right. I forgot about that.
Bernie Mac
that's
is hysterical in that movie.
Bernie Mac killed that. That's a great movie.
I
almost forgot about that.
I forgot about Bad Santa.
I will rewatch that as many times. And you got the sweethearted lady from Gilmore Girls is like, you know, playing extremely against type. Like the whole thing is crazy good.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Otis.
I hate to be obvious, but my number 2 is going to be the most obvious of Christmas movies ever.
Are you going to steal my number 1?
Christmas Story, man.
Oh, Oh, that's a
Wait a minute.
That's very. Ooh.
You guys don't have Christmas Story anywhere you're. Wow, guys.
I forgot. See, that's what I'm saying. I forgot about that. Oh my
You'll
God.
shoot your eye out?
You'll shoot your eye out. Oh,
Daddy's
come on, guys. Oh, come on, guys.
Daddy's gonna kill Ralphie. Oh my God.
Every
Bro,
time,
I was so scared. I was so scared that like that could like really happen. I'm like, oh my God, who's gonna help him, man?
Dude, yeah, when he beats up the bully kid, I'm like, that happens to most kids at some point. So the biggest effect it's had on me is that to this day, whenever we get a package, Amazon or USPS or whatever, if it says fragile on it somewhere, I pick it up and go, fragile.
Fragile.
Me and my wife are like, ha ha. And like the kids don't know what it is, but I still do it. Like this thing is put a thumbprint in my entire life and personality.
Can't help it. Cannot help it. Yeah, that and what's dope about it is that every year it's a marathon. That's the final Christmas movie we're gonna watch probably tomorrow. But it's a marathon on TBS or TNT, I think, that comes on every year for like 24 hours.
Either one.
They play it 24 hours, so
We used to just
even
leave
better
it
into my mind.
That one is cool too because it's not really a Christmas movie so much as like a bunch of 15-minute Christmas movies all about the same people smashed together. Like it's good. Like that episode, it's like a hangout Christmas movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Come on, do you have one more for us? Or are you gonna leave us hanging? What are you doing?
Well, can The Nightmare Before Christmas be a...
We watched that. Yes. Oh my God.
because the thing about it is he's from Halloween Town and he discovers Christmas. So it's like, oh, what's this? What's this? You know what
Okay, I'm gonna change. My number 3 is Nightmare Before Christmas. We watched that 3 nights ago. She's fine, babe. She's fine.
You know, like...
I had that on tape on VHS and I watched it. I can recite the whole movie.
I mean, he discovers Christmas. So
Tim Burton killed that.
He's discovering all these things for the first time, and you know he brings it back to Halloween Town and is showing everyone like, "Oh, this is absolutely wonderful." You know?
Man, my favorite is when they try to do Christmas for everybody, but they're Halloween people, so everything ends up so messed up.
Like all the toys are all scary and stuff.
And like if you were a Halloween person, that would seem super cool. And the best part is you can watch this movie at Halloween and Christmas. Like
Exactly.
it works. There's a place anyone who goes up near like North Park, Lincoln Square, there's a house on Foster across from like the fire station just east of Western. And the guy who lives there is an art teacher, so like he always has different decorations up. But he always has Nightmare Before Christmas at Christmas, and it looks exactly like the movie. It's amazing. You got to swing by.
Wow.
And yeah, the soundtrack is just killer. Like even the cover soundtrack, the cash-in cover soundtrack with like Korn is like fun versions of those songs.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's definitely up there for me. I think the story is good. You know, they kidnap Santa. Boogie's boys kidnap Santa. And
Mr. Boogie.
It's very imaginative, very inventive. It's good for both Halloween and Christmas. I mean, you know, this very dark holiday discovers this very happy holiday, and it's a very good idea. Like that's an original concept in itself. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like as parents we can all be like, oh shit, are my kids gonna end up like those 3 kids, like the 3 like very self-assured but also kind of shitty kids? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
John, bring us home. What do you got?
All right. You guys have both expressed an interest in not being too corny with these selections. And I hate to disappoint you. But what do you bring me on for, right? You need my individual energy, right? I have at number 1 got to put a thing that I think 10 years ago me would have been very sad at. I got to put the original the Jimmy Stewart at the top. It's the best. It's
a Wonderful Life.
Yes, it's a Christmas movie.
Gotta do it, man.
That really just there's like 30 minutes of a Christmas movie at the end, but the first like 2 hours are like a guy's cry for help.
Yeah.
And
classic,
you know what? Like, I dig the Christmas Carol too. Like, whether it's Scrooge McDuck or any of the film versions, like I love seeing an old piece of shit decide that he should be nice. But It's a Wonderful Life is like so good, and that is so well made. And Jimmy Stewart is just an amazing, like, all-timer actor. But like, they put you through the ringer on that. Like, this dude is gonna kill himself, and that's the only reason why there's a movie at all, because he is such a failure, because he feels all this pressure, and then like it just flips into joy and amazement while not really, like it feels earned. Like his emotions flip around. It's not that it's like the story flips around. Yeah. So I dig it. This is a movie that like I used to pride myself on never having watched. Like I would catch the 5 minutes on TV, every Christmas, and even like. Even, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I was like, I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life. That's stupid, corny shit. But, like, now, I'm like, I get it. Like, the older I get, the more I appreciate, like, how a guy, you can recontextualize yourself. You can really appreciate what's, like, sweet and good about your life, even though, there's things that you want to do that you couldn't. Like, that's just good. It's a Christmas movie. It's joy and elation and hope. And, like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if he's not blowing up terrorists in Nakatomi Plaza.
There you go.
Right, that's the special movie. That's like,
I know it's
honorable
corny.
mention.
Okay.
Honorable mention.
You guys can tell me it's corny. It's fine. I understand it.
No. I got Christmas Story and freaking
beard goes gray, or corny is better.
That's too funny, man.
Beers and Bars, Revolution Brewing. John, we appreciate you once again for rocking with us, man. These always positive vibes, positive shows. We'll see y'all next week.
Appreciate you having me.
Right. Yep. And hopefully next time we talk to John, it's in person.
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
First in-person show. We're reserving it at the brewery.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. That's for sure.
Revolution Brewing. Thank you, John. Thank you again.
Cheers, guys.
Beers and Bars. Peace.